Hey guys and gals, it's Brian. I am broadcasting to you live probably a week ago from the airport in Vancouver in Canada. I'm going to attempt to tell you a little bit about my paper and about what I talked about so that we can all kind of participate and learn from each other. So the four main areas that I uh, went into at my school was English language development, music, physical education, and speech and language therapy. Um, After I went in and observed, I analyzed what I saw and I judged it according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which was basically what the handout asked us to do. So, using his work as a framework, I judged whether or not the students' needs were being met in those different educational situations, and I found strengths and weaknesses in each of those things and talked about those. So that's what I'll go over here in a little bit. So, Maslow found that every human is motivated by some innate needs in which they need to be um, cared for biologically and physiologically. So they need to have food, they need to have water, shelter, they need to have safety, like security, limit, stability. They need to feel belongingness and love, so have family, friends, and positive relationships. And they also need to have their self-esteem looked after, um, which would be esteem needs. So they need to be independent and be able to be recognized for the work that they do. So particularly in the ELD classroom, they were working on developing fluency in both Spanish and English throughout the day because it was a bilingual first and second grade blend um, normally. Um, One thing that the teacher did that I thought was really neat was incorporating the students' native language into the ELD programs, and she worked to build background knowledge. When students would be struggling with certain words or things, she'd give the Spanish name for it, or she'd have the students try and explain their thoughts in Spanish. And this I thought was a great way to incorporate the students' home culture and language with that of the school. A critique that I had was the students were experiencing a lot of direct instruction. They were reading out of basal readers, and they weren't really having time for extended academic talk and interaction with other kids. So I thought that was something that could be improved upon in the future. Um, in the music class, the teacher did try to utilize students' culture as a vehicle for learning. For instance, they were working on different musical genres, and so for the classes that were predominantly Latino or Latina students, they were able to bring in whole different genres than the Eurocentric, classical rock, things like that. They were able to bring in things from their culture, such as mariachi music and Latin pop, things like that. So I thought that was really neat. A critique for that class was that the teacher didn't really have a handle on her classroom some of the time. Some of the boys would be very, very disruptive, so she would send them out into the hall. The problem with that is they turned it into a game and would try and sneak back in without her seeing, and this caused a lot of commotion. I think that this might upset other students and their feelings of safety and things like that, and so I think that in this case, their needs weren't being met because of this. Um, in the PE gym rather, the teacher really worked hard to make a safe physical environment for the students to play in. They were doing an obstacle course based on the heart and the circulatory system. It was really, really neat to see how she integrated health and PE, physical education. She works to have students use the equipment responsibly. She set clear ground rules for behavior. No passing. People on the scooter boards, and because your fingers might get pinched, and put the scooter boards back when you're done, and only jump with the jump ropes in the designated jump rope area. So she had that very well corralled. However, one thing that kind of shocked me was one of her comments to the students. After the students had been running around and some of them they were kind of complaining because they were hot and maybe they'd been passed and they were kind of having a rough day. The teacher said, "Oh, I have a bunch of wimpy boys. My girls are a lot stronger than my boys here." And I thought, this isn't really building up that self-esteem. This isn't really doing much for the students. In fact, I think it's actually perpetuating some sort of stereotype about masculinity and how boys need to be stronger and they should be stronger. And in the PowerPoint that Dr. Dantas Whitney and Dr. Mize put together, they said that even positive stereotypes such as all Asians are smart or good at math, they put pressure on those types of people to perform in that certain way. And I think this is an issue with masculinity in our society, that boys will be boys and men will be men and they have to toughen up and do things like this. And I think that's kind of harmful for self-esteem and for development as a person and a citizen. In the speech room, the teacher was gushing with positive reinforcement. She would say things like, "You did a really great job on testing. You guys are stars. Good job, you guys," things like that. She would give out stickers and have them pick games to play after they completed their work, and it was a very, very positive, supportive place. My critique for this has to do with basically any specialty program in which students are given special attention outside of the classroom. Students have, especially in elementary and middle school, they have a tendency to pick on other students for anything, be it differing ability levels, ethnicity, race, sexual orientation, things like that. And so there should be anti-bullying rules in place, as well as sensitivity exercises in order to allow students to come in contact with students with disabilities or alternate abilities to form a more cohesive learning environment. In my future classroom, I really want to incorporate the students' home cultures and school cultures. I want to do that with the use of native language, extended dialogues, use a critical analysis of the history that we've been taught in the schools, things like that. I want to foster a real safe classroom where students feel like they belong and can develop positive self-esteem. I think that this can be accomplished via strict ground rules on student-to-student and student-to-teacher interactions, as well as behavior and things like class discussions. I might have already said that, but I'll say it again because I think it's very important. One thing that I could do in the school that I didn't think was really being addressed in these different educational settings was students' physiological and biological needs weren't really being met in these particular places. So I thought that advocating for free and reduced lunch and breakfast and after school snacks, I think that would be a way to make sure kids are fed, that they get nutritious meals and food and have at least that, so they won't be hungry during the day. I think that's one tiny way in which we can help students achieve and provide for their needs in the school setting. So I hope that was semi-educational and not too long for you. I'm signing off. I'll be heading off to Japan in, 4 hours. So you have a good time. I hope your finals went well. Bye.